Hello and welcome to another video by Rick Miracle, me, in the series Freemasonry and Satanism, and we are up to number 65. The book I have chosen, I think will be, is an amazing choice. It has been interesting reading and learning about this author. The name says a lot. The picture on the cover says a lot. Texe Marrs, Dark Majesty, The Secret Brotherhood, and the Magic of 1,000 Points of Light. Well, that certainly ties everything together that we've been talking about. George Bush mentioning a new world order and 1,000 points of light. What does 1,000 points of light mean? Look at the picture. And I've been tying in the esoteric, secret, occult, witchcraft, hence in the Freemasons, Illuminati, Zionist Jesuits. And the cover, certainly the picture, you got the sun in the background, looks like a king or a pope in a carriage and horses. The astrology sign, a lion, a woman, a castle. So, Secret Brotherhood. Texe Marrs is a seriously respected man. He's published a lot of books. You can watch his videos on YouTube. He has a website. Lots of products you can buy. CDs, videos. So I'm not going to try to read Texe Marrs' book, but introduce you to some of the material. Anyways, on the back of the book it says, The Secret Brotherhood, Men of Majesty, Extraordinary Men, Regal Men, Men who know the hidden powers of magic and the supernatural. Universally admired, even loved, they rule the masses through pageantry and illusion. Illusion, propaganda, TV shows, symbolism, posters in your city downtown, New Age, events. In this explosive new book, published when? 1992. And I'm sure he's published a lot since then. It says here, don't believe the human eye, in sunlight or in shade. The puppet show of sight and sense is the devil's masquerade. Robert Anton Wilson, Mask of the Illuminati. The Secret Brotherhood, on the back again, is a frightening conspiratorial network. Includes the mysterious Bilderberger Group, the notorious Skull and Bones Society, George Bush maybe, John Kerry, and many others. The clandestine Black Lodges of Freemasonry. On every street corner in the world, we've gone over some of their pamphlets, booklets, which are ironically named New Age. So I suppose they weren't really prepared for that when they were publishing those. From the Scottish Rite, we went over those. We'll maybe just look at them again to see the evidence. And I have been talking about the Knights of Columbus and the Knights of Malta. And it says here on the back of Texe Marrs' book, Black Lodges of Freemasonry and the Secret Knights of Malta. It's diabolical. Diabolical. I think even the last book review we did with Jordan Maxwell, they used the word diabolical. Influences reaches into the corridors of power at the White House, the CIA, the Federal Reserve, and even the Vatican. The stakes are high, your job, your bank account, your family, and if you try to fight back, they just might take your life. That's what it says. just might take your life, like the Freemasons when they swear an oath with their hand on the Bible and threaten to be killed by having their throat cut or their stomach slit open and their guts poured out, or many other have different methods of saying you're going to be killed as you go into different degrees. Interestingly enough. So let's look at this book. You go online and Texe Marrs' website and buy this book. Bookstores, I mean, he has other books. But anyways, other books by Texe Marrs: New Age Cults and Religion, Ravaged by the New Age, Mystery Mark of the New Age, Dark Secrets of the New Age, and Mega Forces. The index here says the Illuminati, Secret Brotherhood of Destiny, World Conspiracy, a Novel Idea, What International Evil Lurks in Vaults of Banks, The Great Work, The Magic of 1,000 Points of Light, The Bilderbergers and Other Conspirators, International Network of Light, The Superman and the Imperial Brain Trust, Superman, Strange Glory, What Are They Hiding Inside That Tomb, The Pleasant Adventures of a Bonesman, or How George Bush Made It All the Way to the White House with just a little help from his friends, The Skull and Bones Lineup, a rogues gallery of questionable characters, The Skull and Bones Good Old Boys Club, not just a fraternity. And part 3, they worship a God whose name they conceal. That's an important thing to consider. They want separation of church and state, so they say, when it comes to Christianity. But when it comes to the God whose name they conceal, these skull and bones men, definitely, like on the dollar bill with the all-seeing eye in the pyramid, there is no separation of church and state with the God that they're talking about, Lucifer, Satan. So they want to kick out the good God, the good Jesus, the good Holy Spirit, and they want to bring the fallen angels who were tossed out of heaven, the demonic beast, the devil, the one who makes deals with people in blood and then always deceives them in the end. Thought I'd add that. The science of mind control, we've been going over that in my videos. Could this be magic, alchemy, illusion, and the process of humanity? And the hidden persuaders. So as you know, I highlight stuff, and again, I'm not going to read all of this. I'll probably do 3 videos, documentaries on this book reviews. And after I read about a half an hour or more or less, I will introduce some other material by Texe Marrs, and I've decided in these 3 videos to take another look at Nexus magazine and some of the New World Order articles over the past 5 or 6 years. That ought to be interesting. So, here we go. Is there behind the scenes an Illuminati, a secret clique of wealthy men masterminding a massive conspiracy to rule the world? Next month, the Pope is coming to New York, United States, and the United Nations is having its yearly huge meeting, and apparently a big announcement is going to be made to the world. And a lot of people are talking about it, and it might be that the world the way it is right now is unsustainable. Maybe the US dollar will crash, we can't pay the debt. And these things are not true, by the way. They've been fed to us as propaganda. Global warming is not true, but the Pope will talk about that maybe. And maybe introducing us to another alien type of beings living on this planet all along, maybe in cahoots with the government. But anyway, September 2015 promises to be a very interesting month if something disastrous doesn't happen before then. The stuff on the internet right now with Jade Helm dispersing troops all across the United States is going on since July 15th and earlier. And there's a lot of news and ruckus going on. Apparently, emergency food supply centers are having a problem delivering emergency food supply by many people who are freaking out, ordering it. And the same thing with bullets and guns. And there's just if we make it past this year, 2015, without anything happening, stock market crashing, World War III beginning, Planet X is supposed to be still coming, advancing in on us, Yellowstone might blow, earthquakes are popping off, and they're talking about Australian antigen plague, Mars, SARS, Ebola, water shortages and droughts across the United States, having to evacuate the whole state of California. And then also in the news, a couple weeks ago, I got an alert, some of the websites I monitor, but apparently they have radioactive radiation detectors all over the United States, a network. And apparently half a dozen of them went all the way, peaked all the way to the point where you would have to evacuate a city. And I printed that out and copied it. But they never even alerted the public. In several major cities, apparently a big plume came from Fukushima across the Pacific. And as it crossed the Pacific with the winds, it was setting off all the alarms, peaking the meters to, again, evacuation levels. So how many of us got a big dose of radiation, which could be a potential death sentence? It could be dead man walking. We don't know that we've been just doused. You're walking outside, you're breathing the air, it rained. Yeah, I printed all that out. I have a couple radiation detectors, and one of them's hooked up to a computer, and I monitor going up and down. So there's just a lot of stuff going on, and it looks like they're getting ready to pull the trigger on this new Luciferic religion, this new one world order that everybody's talking about, including the Pope. And there's a lot of, I've noticed this too, you have to be careful. But as you would expect, there's a lot of videos out there that are seemingly like they're trying to tell you the truth. That's why I read from books. It's not me. But upon investigation, they're sponsored and paid for by communist parties, which are basically the Illuminati, the Zionist Jewish folks who were behind it. Not to be confused with the good Jewish folks, also alerting us to these facts, like Henry Mackau in his book, Illuminati, the Cult That Hijacked the World, or Rabbi Marvin Antelman in his two books, Volume 1, Volume 2, to eliminate the opate, which means belief in God, because that belief gives you strength and health and harmony. Without any belief in anything, with this fear-mongering going on, with all these different fears they're threatening us with, everything from Yellowstone to Ebola to Planet X to crashing the economy. Ferguson, people were robbing in the stores again in the news today, which is August 14th, Friday, 2015. And let's not forget the insanity with the sky spraying and the HARP transmissions, the ripples in the sky. I'm looking up right now, and there is a lot of spraying going on. You can look at my recent videos, sky spraying, Rick Miracle in North Carolina, August, July. So back to the book. I get off rambling on about this stuff. It just seems like it's getting closer to doomsday. Especially, I was watching videos and reading some information that the videos referenced. When their videos talk about something, I usually go look up that document and print it out and show it to you. But apparently some of the people who supply emergency food supplies, they're being bought up at an ever-increasing rate, and they're running out. They may not be able to fulfill your order. What's going on? So let's see what Texe Marrs has to say. Dark Majesty. Alright, so are these powerful and influential men behind the frenzied campaign for world government and a new international economic order? This is 1992 now. If such a hidden group of elitists and occultists does exist, Hence my series, Freemasonry, Elitist, and Satanism, Occultist. And it appears it plainly does exist. And I've connected hugely the New Age with the Satanists, with the Freemasons, with the Illuminati, with the Zionists, with the Kabbalah, with the halftime shows in football, with the grand opening of the Olympics, the Grammys, all this stuff. It's just insane. Even the Eurovision, like the American Idol in the United States, where Conchita Wurst won the contest. Wurst means sausage, and Conchita is a female part. And singing the song Phoenix Rising, which has the words "You Can't Stop Us," and the girl dressed up like Jesus on the head, and a silky slim woman in a silky dress down below, so half man, half woman, which is, if you look up a picture of Baphomet or the devil, he has a goat's head, women's breast, man's torso, and goat's feet, half man, half woman. Androgynous. And of course we have the gay agenda being passed by the Supreme Court. Half of them were, or almost, are Jewish, and apparently are the ones who got the vote through. And apparently these Zionist Jewish folks, and controlled by the United Nations. Who controls whom? Even the people probably in Israel, a lot of them don't know what's really going on, just like lower level Freemasons don't really know what's going on. And actors who go to Hollywood and aspire to be somebody really don't know what they're going to get themselves into, as they say. Miley Cyrus's, her father, Billy Ray, said to GQ magazine, you can look this up, that he was worried about the satanic influence on poor Miley. And if you see her shows and pictures, she definitely looks like she's a zombie and controlled by some freaky stuff. Anyways, I'll never get this book going if I don't start reading it. So, is there a hidden group of elitists and occultists does exist? If such, will their carefully contrived plot succeed? As unlikely as it may seem, the astonishing answer is yes. There is a secret organization of illuminized men that exist. It is the money power of America, Europe, and Asia. I call the men who lead it to the secret brotherhood. The members of this clandestine group believe themselves to be men of superior race and bloodline. They are convinced that their destiny is to be served, and we are to become their economic slaves. Over the centuries, these diabolical men, agents of a magical underworld known only to a few, have banded together in secret societies, amassing untold wealth and material treasures. Frankly, during the first 42 years or so of my life, I did not believe that such a group of men existed. I found the conspiracy theory of history somewhat amusing, if not absurd. I don't have to join Texe Marrs until I reached a certain age, in my older age. I had a reputation of being a party boy, out on my sailboat drinking beer with my friends, running my business in Florida, traveling to Cozumel, traveling to Costa Rica, traveling to Maine, where I grew up, traveling to Long Island, visiting relatives, traveling to North Carolina, where I live now, riding my motorcycle. I was going about my life oblivious to the preparations that were being made. I only noticed it when my business started suffering. All my clients were losing money, and people were losing homes from Argentina to Florida to Ohio and New York and everywhere, Germany, California. And being an educated electronic engineering technician, having some math courses and other stuff, it just occurred to me that, statistically speaking, everywhere in the world can't be run by just stupid people, which is what they try to make everybody believe, that it's not planned. It is planned. I've got the books. I've gone over the books. This is 1992. So 92, 2002, 2012, 23 years ago. And if apparently all the stuff that they say they were doing here is coming more out of the closet. These people are... The Pope's going to be here in September in New York, I think, with the United Nations. What's he going to say? What's going on with Jade Helm putting all the troops all over the Midwest, and apparently all over the United States, and apparently over in Europe they're doing the same thing. They're amassing a bunch of troops and equipment all over Europe. Spain is falling economically. Banks closed in Greece. Ireland's in trouble. Everybody, Germany's up in arms about the immigration issue being infiltrated. These evil forces are causing all these events to create the disaster. Don't forget that. Whatever happens, they will have made happen to bring about the New World Order. And they're forcing the issue on microchipping people. We're going to be like cattle, tagged. And if you're not cooperating, you're going to be bagged. You're going to be possibly have your head cut off. That's the prescribed method by the Zionist Jewish people, who see themselves as masters and everybody else slaves. They say the way we have to take care of these people who resist being slaves is to behead them. What a horrific thing. It's hardly believable what the human race has come to. Alright, moving back to Texe Marrs, and I'm only reading the preface. I typically put them in the category of either being bizarre eccentrics or quite possibly nuts and overly right wackos, conspiracy theorists. People believing the international bankers bent on ruling the world. And then he says he has a startling discovery. You can see I'm only reading a little bit here. Then, 6 years ago, I made a startling discovery. While investigating a weird but sometimes fascinating worldwide spiritual and social movement called the New Age, I stumbled upon something strange, something gigantic. Yes, even something scary. At first, I could not believe it. I did not want to believe it. But there it was, the evidence, an undeniable body of evidence. The day that I discovered the terrible truth about the secret brotherhood was the day I shall never forget. Texe Marrs. Winston Churchill once made a keen observation that most people sometimes in their lives stumble across the truth. Most jump up, brush themselves off, and hurry on about their business as if nothing had happened. That is exactly what happened to me that fateful, unforgettable day when I stumbled upon the truth at first. I too was staggered, almost to the point of being incoherent. In the Bible, Proverbs 25-2 is found an intriguing passage. It is the glory of God to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter. A man or woman of honor, the scripture tells us, is a majestic, knightly person. Such a person searches out a matter to see if it is so. Though it may be elaborately concealed, the honest and dedicated inquirer will eventually be rewarded with the truth. The shackles of deceit will fall off his eyes, and the rays of truth will shine through with sparkling clarity. Pardon my reading sometimes. Are you a kingly person? Can you endure the truth? Do you have the courage to tear off the mask of deceit, worn by the men of the secret brotherhood? Are you prepared to pay the price for being scornfully called a kook, a troublemaker, or worse? You've killed a lot of people in my 11 years of research. Astronomers, biologists, doctors investigating the wickedness and insanity of giving all the children vaccines with mercury in it. The government creating AIDS and testing it on cities like LA and New York. Bank people being killed. hundreds, if not thousands, of military leaders being let go when they wouldn't pass a test. And the test was, will you fire upon American people if we tell you to? And if they said no, the generals were losing their jobs. People probably in control of the nuclear arsenals. And 9/1 witnesses, supposedly, I haven't done all the research, but Jordan Maxwell in his book said when Kennedy was killed, 100 of his supporters at least, or more, within the next year all mysteriously died. Were they all assassinated? Was it a purge? So all these medical people, scientists, astronomers with Planet X, serious astronomers could dispute it. So they have to be killed. Doctors could point out that they're secretly in hospitals microchipping. They say 1 in 3 people have been secretly microchipped already. Wow. You know, I wonder if at the VA clinic, you know, where they microchipping all these veterans, because they seem to be afraid of the veterans. Because if there was a coup, these guys are military trained. So, are you prepared to pay the price for being scornfully called a kook, a troublemaker, or worse? If your answer is yes, then Dark Majesty will be of benefit to you. This world conspiracy is led by men of immense influence, who have taken a solemn oath to ever favor their own kind. Now, this is without a doubt for the majority of the Jewish people, that no matter where they live in the United States, Argentina, Germany, they all pledged their allegiance to Israel first. So they can't serve 2 masters, so they can't be patriotic to the United States or Canada or Mexico, wherever they might live. And of course, not all Jews. Some of them are not religious and just living in the United States or anywhere else and just want to be a citizen and left alone. And some of them are out there, like if you look up Zionism and images, they're writing books and having demonstrations and posters warning us about the Zionist Jewish people. And in Revelation in the Bible, the last book, it says Jews who call themselves Jews but are not. So it's not even possibly Jews that we're talking about. It's just some evil men who have taken over the Jewish religion so they could tell the world they're God's chosen people. Look into this stuff. Once you start investigating, it'll go over your head. There's so much. I'm on my 11th year. Up to series 64 in this series, and some of the video series have 1, some have 6 videos, an hour to 2 hours. So we're talking hundreds of hours of book reviews I've done, and pictures and magazines, and I did it that way so that I could get some credibility out there. So the biggest problem people seem to have is, I don't know what to believe. So I think if you just start digging in and realize some of the books, like the New Age books that were published by Lucas Trust, formerly Lucifer Trust, I mean, that should tell you everything. Alice Bailey and Helena Blavatsky and all that stuff with New Age. Palladians, aliens who said that they were here and they took advantage of us and they're back on Earth to make amends for messing with the human race. Do you really believe that? They got that Shiva demonic being like this in front of CERN, and the 666 is the logo. And they got Time magazine has a picture of Obama in the Shiva dance with 4 arms. They're putting that statue of the devil up in Detroit, horns and all, with a lap, and little children that get to sit in the lap of the devil. It's almost too much to fathom all this. But ignoring it, I have a feeling it's going to be much worse for people. Ignorance is bliss, some people say. I think ignorance could wind up having your soul go to the wrong place for eternity, when just a little bit of awakening could change anybody's life and save their soul. I prefer to go to the kingdom of God that Jesus said had many mansions, rather than that picture I showed you in the last video, number 3, I think it was, of Jordan Maxwell, Series 63, where that one gay guy was carrying a big poster that he believes hell is fabulous. How brainwashed are people? Who would think hell is fabulous? This world conspiracy is led by men of immense influence who have taken a solemn oath to ever favor their own kind and to willingly and without hesitation deceive all those outside their fold. They believe also that their natural superiority over the rest of us gives them the right to conceal and cloak their true intentions. The truth can be disturbing and frightening. Why would so many prefer to listen to men who have repeatedly sworn to deceive them rather than to investigate the facts and discover the truth for themselves? So anybody going to a Freemasonic lodge swears on a Bible under threat of death to keep everything secret. And some of the books that I have read from the Freemasonic lodges says that they see the rest of us as animals or profane, and the Jews, Zionism, bad people, call us goyim, which is cattle. And Benjamin Netanyahu, if he said this in Texe Marrs, that they hate America, he hates America, and that the United States is a golden calf to be fleeced again and again, and they're going to sell off all of our assets and land and everything until there's nothing left, and we will regret not wanting to be their slaves. Benjamin Netanyahu. And then I watch Donald Trump on TV saying he thinks he's the best leader in the world. And then that one female lady running for president says if she wins, the first person she's calling is Benjamin Netanyahu. So if anybody doesn't think that this country, like Prime Minister Sharon of Israel said in a heated argument in their Congress, don't worry about the United States, we control the United States. And they do. The money, the defamation leagues, the PACs, everything's a stacked deck. All our politicians are cowards and traitors, most of them, and they're afraid to speak up for the truth when they can't even go read Obama's Pacific Trade Agreement until they take a special class on secret security clearances. Then they're only allowed to look at a page or two and not make any copies or take any notes. What are they trying to hide? I suspect there's going to be a no guns for the citizens in America in the trade agreement. And so when they sign it, Obama is going to announce that we signed a trade agreement with the Pacific countries. And part of that says you can't have a gun, American citizen, so you have to disarm. And there will be resistance. This is one plausible thing that could happen. And maybe that's what Jade Helm's all about. Maybe they're going to bring about this New World Order, and they got all these military tanks and trucks and jeeps and missile launchers and stuff in place, and all the troops, who apparently, some people in some of the videos recently, say they drive by the military base. Alright, I got disturbed there for a second. But yeah, people drive by the military base, and they see the people, guards out front, and they wave, mother and daughter, what father, and they say that those people look at them like, if looks could kill, they'd be dead. They didn't wave back, they weren't nice. I was like, and apparently, plausibly, foreign troops or something. Something's up. Research it. Don't believe me. But that's what I see, and what I see, I report. All right. They believe also that their natural superiority over the rest of us gives them the right to conceal and cloak their true intentions. The truth can be disturbing and frightening. Why would so many prefer to listen to men who have repeatedly sworn to deceive them rather than to investigate the facts and discover the truth for themselves? And like I said, most people in high places, especially senators, representatives, and other people like that, they come from one fraternal organization or Freemasonic lodge or some kind of temple or another. So they're outsiders, and they think that we're all lesser beings than they are, lower IQ, not able to manage our affairs because we're more like animals, according to H.G. Wells. The answer, regrettably, is that the very idea of a monstrous worldwide conspiracy at work intensely disturbs the average man or woman. I couldn't agree more. Alright, let me read another page and we'll move on to something else and another video later on in this book. I'm not going to try to read the book, but give you a good dose of what's in it. So you can go buy one of Texe Marrs' recent books or this book. Or their secure feeling about the current system is threatened. They don't want to learn the truth because it would be too discomforting, too alarming. If they were to accept the fact that much of what they think they know about their government and its leaders, the economy, and where society is heading are simply elaborate myths concealing and insulating a hidden elite from opposition and exposure, they would then be faced with the horrible dilemma. So if people woke up to what's going on, they got two choices. Cowardly hide, walk away, bury their head, or what can they do about it? And I think, of course, the best thing that everybody can do from the beginning is education. Wake up to the fact, and I think your instincts will take you the rest of the way. Even more scary, it would also become mandatory that they ponder the question of what will happen to them if they try to do something about it. And with that in mind, I want to say this. When the... Okay, my day job calls. Have to answer the phone if I want to make $1. Alright, so if people found out what's going on, what can they do, what should they do? Even more scary, it would become also mandatory that they ponder the question of what will happen to them if they try to do something about it. And I'm telling you now, it's becoming quite clear. They're preparing for the resistors. And that includes people who are religious Christians, and probably any other religion, who will refuse to take the mark of the beast. But you got to remember, even in the Quran, the Muslims' Bible, Islam, Jesus, they believe in Jesus. And the ones who are very unhappy with Jesus, of course, are the ones who, when Pontius Pilate, the leader for Rome in Jerusalem, was called upon to crucify Jesus, and he said, "No way, this is not going to be on my head." And all the Jews that were there, the ones who were angry about Jesus interfering with their power, said, "Let it be on our head, let it be on our head." So the Son of God, which I believe is true, and it's not so insane to think about it, we are spiritual beings in biological bodies. Every human being. Of course, the Zionist Jewish folks don't think that we have souls. We're more like animals, and we should be slaves to them, which Benjamin Netanyahu said. And Gene Simmons apparently said the same thing, that non-Jews are supposed to be served by all the non-Jews are supposed to serve the Jews. Gene Simmons. Look it up. Is it true? I mean, I reporting what I read. That I can prove. But did somebody make that up? Same thing with Benjamin Netanyahu and Fink's Bar. I mean, but I do Google it in Yahoo, and I see millions of results on this stuff. And, you know, Prime Minister Sharon saying, "Don't worry about the USA. We control the USA." Millions of responses when you search that stuff. Protocols of Zion, all the debunkers will say, "Well, that's all fake." And it's a negative thing you say about these elitists, Freemasons, Illuminati, Zionists, Jesuits, or anything. They deny everything. but yet what they do fulfills what is said that they're going to do and what they did. I mean, everybody knows that Hollywood is controlled by the Jews. There's a book written called An Empire of Their Own. There's many books written by Jews themselves and some of their religious texts that are just horrific in material. And good rabbis and other people like Henry McCall, PhD, Canadian author, Jewish. Illuminati, the cult that hijacked the world. I've got like 500 books. That's why I decided to do these videos after 10 years of reading almost every day these books. A couple hundred books. I said, man, I gotta share this with people. They can't take 10 years out of their life to figure out this puzzle. That's what I do. And I know I'm not correct on everything. I never said I was. I'm no saint. Never said I was. I am a patriotic USA citizen, and I am a human that loves humans all over the earth. I don't want to see anybody murdered and mayhemed and threatened and tortured and killed. Pedophilia, bestiality, prostitution, sex slaves, or much worse. There's some things I probably don't even want to talk about that's so horrific. That one piece of material I got where they're butchering people, hanging them up in lockers, and apparently eating them over there in the Middle East. And apparently you can get a particular disease that only affects cannibals. And some of these people are getting this disease. It just portrays right now, and maybe it's been this way forever, the human race is a far cry from being anything you would want to say, wow, that's a good race of people. There are good people out there. But I suspect they're a minority. And they're not the ones that would be in charge, or they wouldn't be in charge like Kennedy. They would be killed. And all those other people, astronomers, biologists, medical doctors investigating vaccines. Biologists, people with knowledge about Ebola and plagues. So if you knew too much about these things, Star Wars engineers and scientists under Reagan, a lot of them died. 911 witnesses, 900 of them, witnesses and first responders, 900 of them dead. Crazy stuff going on. And the technology, the computers. Wearing myself out talking here. Even more scary, will it also become mandatory that they ponder the question of what will happen to them if they try to do something about it. And remember, with all this computer monitoring, cell phones, TVs, laptops, iPhones, cameras on corners, checkouts, computers monitoring you when you swipe your card to get discounts at grocery stores, credit card, you're sitting in a bar, you give the guy the credit card, you drink 4 beers. Is some computer going ring, ring, ring? Just target this guy. And they can track you driving with your iPhone or cell phone, knowing that you just had 4 beers that was monitored on the supercomputer. And when they want to microchip you, can they turn you off? Turn off your credit card. Turn off your bank account. Turn off your home electricity. Turn off your water. Turn off you. And if they do target you, does the computer say everybody that you're associated with? Will they assume they're all in on your plot of knowledge and awareness, and then turn all your friends and family off who they think you might have talked to? Could it come to that? And if you're not Jewish or Illuminati, a fraternal group, turn them off. Turn off 100,000 people in a city of 1 million just to get rid of 100,000 people. Turn them off. Will it come to that? Apparently they did that in the Middle East, and they got everybody thinking the Islamic people, Muslims and Arabs, are evil, and now it's clear they're saying Christians are evil, and people are buying it. Moving on, self-deception, the tendency to want to believe a lie, to want to remain convinced that all is well, regardless of the overwhelming evidence to the contrary, is the greatest weapon in the secret brotherhood, vast armory of weapons. So they understand psychology. They've been studying it thick through. They know. They've studied it. They know how people react. Once you've read this book, you will know for certainty, if you didn't already know it, that there is a world conspiracy by the hidden elite. And apparently it's the same story that's told in the Bible about the end times. And it does involve, like I said, we are spiritual beings in biological bodies. And they have these evil spiritual beings who want to rule the other spiritual beings and hate them. First of all, they were cast out of heaven. Second of all, some of them were guilty of having Jesus killed. That's got to be heavy on their conscience. Don't you think? Sarah Silverstein, is that her name? Silverstein? Who's a comedian, and she's on stage. You can go watch the video. And she says, yeah, in a very vicious way, if Jesus came back now, sure, we'd kill him. If he came back now, I'd kill him again. Comedian. And that's a shattering and frightening thought. It is for real. That numbing, unsettling reality sinks in. You ever had that feeling? You just feel like you want to toss your cookies because you learned something about something? That's what I've been feeling lately when I watch these updates on Jade Helm and the Pope coming to New York with the United Nations and Spain falling and all the things going on in the world. Apparently the battlefront over in the Ukraine is increasing. And the threats of nuclear war and shutting down the money. I mean, I don't care if you have $100 on you or $500 or $1,000. You think they're going to leave the gas stations open? Do you think your debit card will work? I wonder how many people are truly prepared to have to be self-sustaining for a month. And if foreigners do attack us, are they prepared to form militias in their neighborhood and start attacking, going on the aggressive? And will they use their brains and go on the aggressive in such a fashion that they will win? Or will they be stupid, mob-like, running down the streets that the prepared government, Jade Helm and SWAT cops like they have now in military, with all kinds of gases and electromagnetic microwave weapons and crowd control stuff? You can't fight a traditional war. You can't be stupid and go running down the streets. You have to form a militia if foreign troops come attack us. Even if it's ordered by the United Nations. And our own officials are conspirators in this crime. Have signed some kind of pact with the United Nations to surrender the sovereignty constitutional rights of the USA citizens. How many people in every little town will form a militia, will go on the offensive? Running and hiding is not going to work. They got drones, and you got your cell phone with you. They know where you are. They got infrared heat sinkers and all that stuff. And you'll starve. Have to go on the offensive, is my opinion, if we get invaded by foreigners. Eventually, we must either reject it outright or refuse to listen to the truth. Or finally, reluctantly, we are compelled to accept it, along with all the horrible complications and ramifications that come with the acceptance. See what I said? I invite you then to read this book with an open mind and discover the truth for yourself. The same truth that I eventually discovered with my own struggle to seek out this knowledge. What I uncovered in my research and my earnest inquiry first startled, then scared, and then angered me. I finally realized just what a sucker I had been, how I had been deceived all my life. Texe Marrs. The men of the secret brotherhood have no right to do what they are doing. They don't. And these Jewish people who think that they're better than us and they were blessed by God to be our masters, it's a lie. Unless it's their god Lucifer, who deceives everybody, which all the symbolism is out there. Miley Cyrus and her little horns, Katy Perry and her little horns, Madonna and her little horns on all these shows. They're showing us. Anyways, I admit it may be too late for us to stop the men of the Secret Brotherhood, but I'm not yet ready to concede defeat. I know this. It's not too late to warn as many men and women as we can about the miserable fate that the hidden elite have in store for them. And I also think it's just as much as we've seen that they are promoting this Luciferic Mother Earth Goddess religion. We have to remember, if you believe in Jesus and believe in God and try to be a good person, it is my opinion that you can be saved by God and protected. And this is in the Bible. Certain people put certain marks on their doors when prophesied things happen, and the evil passed them by. So I think getting right with the higher power of God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit or whatever, read the Bible and contemplate it. Be serious with yourself. Might prove to be a huge benefit to you and your family and friends. The ruthless and unfeeling men of the Secret Brotherhood can only get their way if they are allowed, without opposition, to hide, cover up, and elude the light of discovery. And I've never been a religious scholar or very seriously a religious man. I grew up believing in God, and that was that. I didn't argue with it. I was known as a party boy. Girlfriends and sailboats and having a good time, running my business and minding my own business, leave me alone type of guy. But then when everything started crashing and I started investigating, like Texe Marrs, I woke up. Well, let's not allow them that freedom of maneuver. Dark Majesty is designed to broadcast light deep into dark crevices and concealed cracks. Believe me, having light shined on their repugnant activities causes these otherwise confident, even arrogant, and despicable men to desperate scurry about seeking cover. Remember, there's millions of us and only a few of them. So if we do wake up, they will freak out and go hide. And that is exactly what should happen to them. Alright, this last thing of the prelude. That's all I read was the prelude. And now it stands, they believe themselves to be invincible, oblivious to detection, and too strong to be successfully confronted. I believe they're wrong. One word of truth outweighs the world. Alexander Solzhenitsyn, saying his name wrong, of course, the courageous Russian dissident, writer exiled by communist tyrants for standing up to their cowardly atrocities, once wrote, "The single step of a courageous individual is not to take part in a lie. One word of truth outweighs the world." The truth shall set you free. So possibly looking for the truth and dealing with it may set you free from this whole insanity. And a little preparation, food supplies, water, what you're going to do, a little pre-planning. I mean, it could be an asteroid hit the Earth, it could be a big hurricane, could be World War III. But a little planning might go a long ways versus having nothing and having to get on some FEMA bus to a place where they have a guillotine waiting for you. And your kids. And your friends. You can't run and hide. You can only confront this if it comes, in my opinion. And confront it with faith. Confront it and trust God. And don't become a hideous murderer and animal like they want you to be. Cannibalistic. It's better to die. But then after the initial shock wears off, we must take the bold yet simple step. We must decide that no, we won't. We will not take part in the lie. Chapter 1 is the Illuminati Secret Brotherhood of the Destiny. I'll start off there on the number 2 video of this series 65. Dark Majesty, Texe Marrs, the Secret Brotherhood, and the Magic of 1,000 Points of Light. And I believe now I got two things to do, is go over some other Texe Marrs material. He sends these newsletters monthly that you receive in the mail. If you buy something from his website, you get this free cool newsletter. And he's also published many books. I have some of the other ones. One of them is on buildings and symbols all over the world, which I should show you. And then I want to go over a Nexus magazine related article and show you some of the other magazines. So that'll be what I do with the rest of this video. Alright, let's take another look at some more material by Texe Marrs. He sends these, if you buy a book of his or a CD or something, he'll put you on his mailing list. And you'll get these little packages about this size, taped up like this. A little periodical. And the articles are very interesting. They're as good as books or whatever. On the back of this one is something interesting. And I've been mentioning it in my videos for quite a while, often enough. But in my moving from Florida to North Carolina, I had a lot of stuff in storage and boxes. So couldn't find the piece I wanted to show on my videos. But here I have it. And basically, it's a picture. And a picture does tell 1,000 words. And when we reviewed the Masonic literature, the handbook, Blue Lodge handbook, and other books, obviously, like in the New Age pamphlets over the Scottish Rite Freemasonry, they definitely don't like Christianity, the Freemasons. They're anti-Christian. Or are the Christians anti-Masonic? So, I think I've revealed that the Freemasons, Illuminati, Zionism, Jesuits, Hollywood, occultic, Church of Satan, and so many other schools of Babylon, temples, lodges, fraternal organizations, seem to have a different religion other than God and Jesus. More of a pagan religion of many gods, of whom Lucifer is mentioned, Satan, Baal, Mother Goddess, Isis, Osiris, Horus, the all-seeing eye on the dollar bill. So there's a lot of evidence there that it's a darker religion, an evil religion, one where murdering and controlling other people as slaves is accepted. That goes back throughout history. And so those people didn't think they were evil because they had slaves and killed people. They thought it was what they were supposed to do to stay in power, because they were the ones possessed by souls, godlike beings. Everybody else was cattle, profane, goyim, animals, as H.G. Wells said. So anyways, the Freemasons and the King Solomon's Temple in Jerusalem that they are planning on rebuilding. And I'm sure you might ask, what evidence do you have of that, Rick? Well, I'm glad you asked, if you asked. But here's a picture of the Freemasonic members of the Scottish Rite with their renderings of a model of King Solomon's Temple. It's definitely on their agenda. So a Texe Marrs exclusive. Why does Rothschild, Rockefeller, and Jewish Sanhedrin, and the Masonic Lodge, the Mormon Church, and scores of satanic cults seek to rebuild Solomon's Temple in Jerusalem? And it even says here, the Mormon Church. And I'm going to tell you, Texe Marrs has been studying this stuff for 30 or 40 years. Much smarter guy than me. So when he says these things, and I've never known anybody to call him a liar. And he even said the FBI or CIA came to his office and wanted to talk to him, and they talked to him and met with him, and everything was okay. So Why did Jesus condemn the Jews' religion and cast the money changers out of the temple? What of Jesus' prophecy that the temple of the Jews would be destroyed and the house of Israel left desolate until his return? Why do millions of pro-Zionist and evangelical Christians take pride in attempting to undo what Jesus has done? Strive to nullify Jesus' prophecy and rebuild both the temple and the house of Israel. What does the temple signify? What occult mysteries and satanic purposes are embodied in the millennium-old quest to rebuild the temple and reinstitute blood sacrifices? What will happen when the Antichrist 666 enters the rebuilt temple and blasphemy declares he is God? So the Scottish Rite Freemasonries display an architectural model for the great temple to be erected in Jerusalem. Note the Egyptian obelisk design. I want $8 for this tape. I don't think you'd be wasting your money if you went to Texe Marrs' website and looked up some of his products and bought something. He'll start sending you the newsletter. This is 2010, and I thought I would just read a little bit from it. Oh, the games people play. Sarah Palin, Glenn Beck, and the hidden controllers of the Teabag Party. March 2010. So it's, the story, some of the details. Listen to some of the words that I say, the sentences. Anger is intensifying against President Obama, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and Majority Leader Harry Reid and the Democrats. Remember, this is 2010. This is 2015 now, of course. August 15th. And the crafty Illuminist elite, it would be the Illuminati, bankster controllers, know exactly what to do about all this heat and anger. So whenever there's an event, like Emanuel Ram, a Jewish Zionist man who was President Obama's advisor, used to say, and probably still does say, don't let a good catastrophe, disaster, go to waste. So when something big happens, you can steer to anger the way you want to, which was why they did Sandy Hook and faked it, and 911 to get into the Middle East and do all the wars, just so they could take over the land and murder the people, take over the oil, things like that. Alright, so people are angry at Obama, Pelosi, and Reid. So the elitist, Zionist, Jewish-owned newspapers and TV programming, Fox, CNN, they know how to funnel that anger. And a lot of the citizens get fooled by it, deceived by it, in my opinion. So they know how to steer the anger. Why just channel it, guide it, direct it wherever they wish? For now, it looks like a major beneficiaries are Republican Party sweetheart Sarah Palin, Fox News propagandist Glenn Beck, and the fledgling Tea Party, or sometimes called Teabag Party. Yep, that's it. Palin, Beck, and the Teabaggers. A trifecta of a luminous joy. I like the way Texe Marrs writes. Now I sympathize greatly with the good American citizens who make up the rank and file, the foot soldiers, for the several different groups collectively called the Tea Party. So the people down there getting together, trying to wish for something better for the United States that became the Tea Party members were probably basic good people. But the people with the money who control it, there's where the conspiracy goes. Most truly want to take America back, restore fiscal sanity to the nation, and rescue the battered U.S. Constitution. The problem is that the Tea Party movement has been co-opted, and its new elitist leadership have no intention at all of pursuing such lofty goals. Those scheming jackals are privately chuckling and hee-hawing over the scam they're pulling. What they are really doing is herding the legitimate concerned multitudes into a dead-ended support of the Republican Party. But as the late feisty Alabama Governor George Wallace used to say regarding the two parties, not a dime's worth of difference. And I've been saying that in my videos, that they're both controlled at the top of the pyramid. Because remember, these parties, these Republican Party, this Democratic Party, are corporations. And somebody's at the head of the corporation. A decade or so ago, Illuminist saviants Ross Perot and Pat Buchanan diverted the people's growing anger and ate up their time, money, and energy in the now deceased Reform Party. Teddy Roosevelt, in his day, created a hocus-pocus bull moose party. And over 175 years ago, angry folks alarmed over the Masonic Lodge's secret rule of Washington, D.C., 175 years ago, founded the Anti-Masonic Party. We went over John Quincy Adams, ex-president, his book on the Letters on Freemasonry. And he mentions the Anti-Masonic Party. So moving on here, and I'm not reading everything. Might seem like it, but there's just a lot of good stuff in this particular article. That, regrettably, is likely to be the fate of the energetic Tea Party of the early 21st century. It's made up of mostly sincere, patriotic citizens who are going to end up sold down the river by the Republic schemers. These schemers are the same evil men who have given us Glenn Beck and Sarah Palin. And I know there's a lot of women out there that'll like Hillary or Sarah just because they're women. And I think that's kind of thinking is wrong. I wouldn't vote for a guy versus a woman in an election because of their gender. That would be ridiculous on my part. Hillary seems to have an outrageous temper, along with a bunch of other problems, history over there in Arkansas. And Sarah Palin, well, let's see what Texe Marrs has to say. Glenn Beck was one of the pioneer promoters of the Tea Party movement. Beck, the Mormon windbag, baptized as a Catholic, went from being a top 40 radio disc jockey to heading up the prime time program on Zionist-owned CNN TV network. Now he's a biggie at Zionist-run Fox News Network. Beck is highly paid agent provocateur. I've listened to Glenn Beck quite a bit. I'd like to think he's on the up and up. But I'm highly suspect of the Mormon Church, and the name of his corporation is called Mercury, and that's got some occult significance to it. And so I just, I don't think I'm one of his big fans. He gushes with praise for Israel, Glenn Beck. And he regularly demands the U.S. military be used to invade and conquer Iran, which I think is about the most insane thing to do. If you ever look at a photo of those Iranians, number one, they're generally white people. And number two, they look like us. People with my face and your friend Bob's face, or John, or Albert, or Lucy, or Mary. Look at their faces and you're going to say, hey, I know people who look like them. So look at some pictures of the crowds and stuff taken in Iran, and they look like us. Very interesting. Almost like they're Germans. Makes one wonder. So, regularly demands the U.S. military be used to invade and conquer Iran. According to Beck, the CIA and Pentagon are right to carry on their illegal, inhuman torture of supposed terrorist suspects. Moving on, Black is mute about the elite's Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, the Bohemian Grove, and Freemasonry. Not a peep out of him about the Christian-hating Jews, ADL, Anti-Defamation League. They hate Christians. Nor the criminal lobbying group AIPAC. And everybody knows that the Jewish PAC, political action committees, are the biggest PACs of all. A tiny little percentage of people control all the money and all the politicians. And the massive amounts of us, 300 million, we don't have anything like that working for us. Other than people like Texe Marrs here. Glenn Beck is being handsomely rewarded for his deceptive antics. Remember, this is Texe Marrs here. According to Forbes magazine, June 29, 2009, he earned a hefty $23 million last year alone. Much of it came from Beck's Jewish book publisher, Simon & Schuster. Like I said, I'm not reading everything. Go to Texe Marrs website. You get a lot of information just looking at his website. The ambitious Palin was first discovered by Jewish rabbis in Alaska. They reported their find to their Israeli Mossad superiors, and presto, Palin moved right up to the governor's suit. The Israeli press dutifully reported that Mrs. Palin was the most pro-Zionist of all the 50 of America's governors. The chief rabbi in Anchorage, Alaska, reported that Sarah Palin almost daily wore not an American flag pin, but the Israeli flag pin in her wardrobe. The Zionist authorities also boasted that the Jews' national flag, the satanic six-pointed star, also decorated the curtains in her governor's office. Ooh, they loved her. After all these Zionist werewolves gave their enthusiastic amen, was the inept Senator John McCain given instructions by Rothschilds, the people who owned the banks and took over the Federal Reserve in 1913, to invite her on the Republican ticket. The rest is history. All right, one more page here. Back when she was on the ticket, I remember a friend of mine saying he liked her because she was a good-looking woman. My friend. How do you deal with that kind of thinking? You'd vote for her to be on the presidential ticket because she's a good-looking woman. She's a tool of the Zionist overlords. As long as she gushingly praises Israel, bows to the feet of God's chosen, the Jews, and demands that the people of Iran and about 1 billion other Muslims, enemies of Israel, either become compliant slaves of Zion or be exterminated or put away in U.S.-run torture camps. Palin will remain America's conservative darling. Recently, at a gala Tea Party event in Tennessee, for which her booking agent had demanded that she receive $100,000. Pretty good for less than a day's work. Now think about it. Do the little people, people like you and me, have that kind of moolah, according to Texe Marrs, to pay Miss Palin to gab at us for, say, 40 minutes or so? Absolutely not. But the Zionist big boys have that, and much more to boot. Well, they have our Federal Reserve, and they can just push a button and let the presses roll and print out dollars and spend them all they want. All right, moving on. Now to turn the old Zionist sucker wheel. One more complete revolution. I guess they have a big wheel. Spin the wheel like you win a raffle. This Texe Marrs calls it the old Zionist sucker wheel. Anyways, McCain's from Arizona. John McCain is having difficulty convincing Arizona's angry voters to vote for him. The citizens are upset at McCain's pandering to illegal aliens, his endorsement of most of the homosexual agenda, and his voting the Wall Street bankers tens of billions, his membership in the globalist-oriented Council of Foreign Relations, and so forth. Tea Party rodeo sweetheart, Palin, touting her pal McCain as the best man for the job. Now that's the guy who got on stage and sang, "Bomb, bomb, 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 Iran. Bomb, bomb, Iran." It's what we're dealing with. He's good for Israel besides Lord Jacob Rothschild over in Great Britain has endorsed his Zionist servant McCain. The elite controllers, the rank and file of the Tea Party, are just window-dressing, gullible foot soldiers whom the elite considers so stupid they won't even realize they've been betrayed. So there's a bunch of Zionist shills out there, and hard at work stirring up and wooing the angry and fed-up masses. Scott Brown, Rush Limbaugh, Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, Bill O'Reilly, and on and on and on and on. We're being deceived every day. Tea Party is proving to be a prime property of the Zionist elite. The games people play. If we who are true patriots and constitutionalists are to take back America, we must go beyond the Tea Party. Ambitious politicians and pitchmen like Obama, Bush, McCain, Limbaugh, Hannity, Beck, and yes, Palin are deceitful, scheming liars willing to compromise their very souls. We're all going to be sitting ducks. Are you as tired and disgusted as I am about the games people play? Texe Marrs. So, I thought what I would do at this point is just to show you some of the titles on some of these. And I will go over some more of these later in the next two videos. Freemasonry and Judaism worship the same Egyptian gods. As I've been saying, Texe Marrs explains it. There's a little bit here I'll just read. Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. I suppose that would be Satan. And then we got another one, and that was John 8:44 in the Bible, by the way. And he's got another comparison here. Yes, the Egyptian god Osiris does live in the darkness and shadows of the Masonic lodges and temples. That's Osiris. Those obelisks in your city squares represents Osiris. It's a phallic symbol. And his son Horus is the all-seeing eye on the dollar bill, according to my research and many others. So Osiris lives in the shadows and darkness of the Masonic lodges and temples. Jewish churches are called temples. Masonic lodges are called temples. And it says here, Freemasonry and Judaism worship the same Egyptian god, and they both call their facilities temples. Get it? Got it? He was the god of Solomon, King Solomon, the temple they want to build, and is the reason God tore the kingdom of Israel from Solomon's throne. Solomon died serving the god of Egypt. And that would have been Reginio Haupt, H-A-U-P-T Jr., The Gods of the Lodge, page 9. He's got some pictures of some symbols here. serpent represented the Egyptian mysteries teaching of the god Osiris. You can see, so serpent, of course, was the snake in the garden that tempted Eve with the apple, Adam and Eve. And notice this god here's got serpents on his body and headdress. And the Masonic square compass is actually a stylized Jewish six-pointed star. And the six-pointed star is the star on the Israelis' flag. The Masonic memorial in Elet, Israel. So in Israel they have a Masonic memorial. So I just thought I'd look at a couple of these quickly. Where popes, bohemians, and other rich and famous dwell. And it says here, and he said unto me, go in and behold the wicked abominations that they do here. So I went in and saw, and behold, every form of creeping thing, an abominable beast, and all the idols of the house of Israel, portrayed upon the wall round about. Ezekiel 8:9-10. So he's got some symbols here. Remember the Bohemian Grove I keep talking about. There's the picture right below. That's in California, where they have the cremation of care ceremony, where our politicians have been photographed and go there every year, and leaders and CEOs and the elitist of the world. And dress in long robes, bring in gay men for satanic ritual sex, throw a baby in the fire. And so it's a big owl, and you can see they've got some of the owls has a big symbolism in Freemasonry. In Adam Wuchthoff 1776, two of the seals honored the owl of wisdom, connected with the goddess Pallas Athene, Minerva to the Romans. This was her sacred bird, and its award to the initiate stamped him as a person of godlike intelligence and superiority. No doubt the elite at today's Bohemian Club count themselves among the same distinguished fraternity of the wise. So they have these owls. One of their symbols. The Fraternal Lodge Oddfellows has a big owl on its symbol outside the buildings. Okay, here. Michelangelo's famous Vatican statue shows the Old Testament prophet Moses with horns. And Pope Benedict is accused of covering up crimes and pedophilias in the Catholic Church. Note the six-pointed star on his Dagon mitre headdress. So the Pope is wearing a six-pointed star. And serpentine pillars hold up the strange canopy over the inside sanctuary of St. Peter's Basilica, and the Egyptian obelisk outside the Vatican. So the phallic symbol for Osiris is outside the Vatican right there. And the snake-like pillars are in the church. So we have a lot of this strange stuff. And here Chief Exorcist Father Gabriel Omort says, devil is in the Vatican. Great Red Dragon and the Illuminate's Oriental Express. And that Fritz Springmeier book I keep talking about, you can buy that on Texe Marrs' website. $45 is a deal online there, hundreds of dollars. So if you can get one at Texe Marrs for that much money. But this is 2010, probably before Texe Marrs. Fritz Springmeier books became so famous. Why the Jewish rabbis love the Mormon church. Mormonism is a Trojan horse of global Zionism, and Mitt Romney is the perfect tool of the Zionist interests. So I just thought I would look at some of these titles. Ways of the Serpent. And all this stuff is satanic you're going to see next. Women kissing. That's part of the gay agenda. The Miley Cyrus and her little horns. Look at this guy and his little horns. George Bush doing his devil sign. The all the people doing the one-eyed sign. Manifests the world. Here's a cool one here. Look at the six-pointed star, the woman and the man with a goat's body. See the Freemason lodges there? So when I titled this series Freemasonry and Satanism, I didn't realize how right I was. Rothschilds, Rockefeller, Lenin, and the destruction of Buca's oil fields. Joseph Stalin, as a young revolutionary, was an organizer of the oil workers and fomented riots and insurrection. Later, after the Bolshevik communists gained power in Moscow, Stalin was sent by Lenin to plunder Bucha and its oil fields. So all these things I've been talking about, is pretty verifiable. Conspiracy of the Six-Pointed Star. Another one of Texe Marrs' books. Here are some of the people, things, and events you will discover in Texe's new, unprecedented copy, Conspiracy of the Six-Pointed Star. Why don't I read a few here? Confessions of an Anti-Semite. Jewish rabbis, the number 666 contains within it exalted and lofty Masonic potential. The Jews' six-pointed star, Star of David, represents the book of Revelation's mark, name, and number of the beast. Prominent Jews admit that we Jews worship Lucifer. That's right here where my finger is. We Jews worship Lucifer. Secret Zionist plan for global conquest. Fall of the United States, page 44. If you get that book on Texe Marrs' website, Conspiracy of the Six-Pointed Star. I am the devil, and yet I am God, page 50. Babylonian roots of Judaism, page 54. Demons, magic, and mysticisms of the Kabbalah. Greed, money, Karl Marx, and the Jews. Barack Obama chosen to transform America into a Leninist People's Republic. Billy Graham, this stranglehold has got to be broken or the country's going down the drain. Murders of General George Patton and Secretary of Defense James Forrestal. World chess master Bobby Fischer speaks out on the Jews and is persecuted. Noahide laws. Noahide, Christians to have heads chopped off. I keep saying that. Look up guillotines shipped to FEMA camps. Rothschild's deadly plan for China, to replace America. Rothschilds and Rockefeller conspire to drive up world oil price. Israelis, Freemasons meet deep beneath the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. Remember, my series is Freemasonry and Satanism. Moving on in this book, Conspiracy of the Six-Pointed Star. If you go on Texe Marrs' website, you can buy that. And what else is in there? Jewish researcher discovers Jewish commandments in charge of, Jewish commandants. Oh my gosh. Jewish researcher discovers Jewish commandants in charge of concentration camps starve, whip, torture, and murder thousands. New York chief rabbi sits on gold throne of Iraq's deposed Saddam Hussein. 21 ways the Illuminati are smashing America's resistance. Got Jade Helm going on right now, dispersing troops all over the United States. To August 2015. Admiral Fallon, we're going to put the crazies back in the box. New scientific discoveries demolish Jewish supremacy theory. The Jewish Report, the immortal Rothschilds, money the Rothschilds in the subversion of the USA. Rush Limbaugh visits Israel with his Jewish rabbi. The Jews who own Hollywood and the media. The Holocaust, truth or fable. Al-Qasar, so Hindish, just, I'd probably say butchering that name. Jewish commissioners massacre 66 million Gentiles in Soviet Russia. And I've been saying that all the time. In 1917, when they did the Bolshevik revolution and killed the Tsar and took over Russia, 66 million Gentiles, Christians too, were massacred in Soviet Russia. So if they did it once, and when they took over Russia, if they take over the United States, they'll say next week with this Jade Helm thing, well, 100 million, 200 million Gentiles, people who are not Jewish, be massacred? Maybe with sky spraying, like an Ebola plague or something? Just saying. Pastor John Hagee and other Christian Judaizers spread Zionism Israel propaganda. Martin Luther on the Jews, they are liars, murderers, thieves and scoundrels, and are all evil men. Jewish Talmud, all Gentile children are animals. I keep telling you this isn't me. Jesus' mother was a bad person, it says here, who played the harlot. So you'll get all that in this book. I think you got enough of it in this A New World Order Assassins. Here's another thing. So my point is I've been getting these for years. Die, America, die. They want to destroy America. The Illuminati choice for 2012. Mysteries of the Temple. Talks about the Jewish temple. Disaster just ahead. Rothschild's Black Gold Empire. Feds rip off America, give 1.1 trillion to European banks. So when they did that bank bailout, they were bailing out the banks over there in England too, Europe. The Illuminati and the Triad of Evil. The evil twins of Israel. Just gotta look around the corner, make sure I'm getting these squared for you. Christian evangelicals fall off the cliff of heresy. Funny what money will do. Marching to Zion. One guy asked me the other day, what is Zionism? They rule the world from... and this lady, I mentioned this before. This must be a recent issue. This is July 2015. Anyways, Carly Fiorina, first call as president will be to Prime Minister of Israel. So if she's elected president of the United States, her first phone call is going to be to Israel. Do we really want her to be president? And Trump said Benjamin Netanyahu's the smartest guy he knows. The Burden of Martin Luther. November 2014. Oh, here's a bad one. Robot alchemy. So are robots and computers going to be making all the decisions? Is that what Jade Helm's all about? That's pretty scary when you think about it. They just turn on the program and it scans your cell phone, scans your computer memory, scans your credit card bills, scans your phone call conversations. And if you did one of the things that they deem makes you a anti-government belligerent, not agreeing with all the things the government's doing, saying bad things about vaccines, gun control, homosexuality promotion, transgenderism, United Nations ruling the world, turning America into a communist nation. If you are, they can catch you on any of those bad lists that they think is bad thinking. Basically, if you're thinking, that's bad. If you're a zombie moron, that's good. And you take the mark of the beast and you allow yourself to be a controlled animal, they'll probably let you live. And feed you like an animal. And house you like an animal. And do what they want with your children. That's my opinion. And all this research I've been doing, and you just saw these periodicals, newsletters. It's what they say in the books I've been going over. And with that said, got something exciting to finish this up with. Well, I told you when I started this particular Series 65 on Texe Marrs' book that I would do a three-part thing. One would be the book, one would be something else about Texe Marrs, and the third would be something off to the side, Nexus magazine articles. This issue is believe it or not, they don't have a date on the cover that I can see. But inside it says November 2010. The article I'm going to go over is Waking Up to the Human Microchip Agenda. I would say that's kind of concerning, wouldn't you? Waking up to the human microchip agenda. People have very busy lives these days. This was written by Gregory Nokalitos and Timothy Wiseman, and here's their website. Let's give credit where credit is due. Go to their website. Maybe they wrote a book. You could pick up the book and buy it. Maybe they made some CDs, documentaries. You can go to Nexus's website, and they sell a disc for like $60 of every Nexus magazine since they started publishing them. So you can get all the back articles for $60 plus shipping from Australia, because they don't sell these in the United States anymore. And supposedly because of the mind control articles in here. And when you see what I read, you'll maybe understand why. So people have very busy lives these days, working extra hard to keep roofs over their heads and food on their tables. And these are the lucky ones, or so we are led to believe. This anti-human system we collectively choose to maintain focuses on the perpetual need for money so as to avoid becoming homeless or destitute, rather than working for humanity and focusing on the ability of human beings to work together for the benefit of all, great or small. It also tolerates the kind of doublethink foreseen by George Orwell, whereby liars and criminals in government can ignore public opinion and keep secrets for the sake of national security, apparently. I think it's all a ruse, a rouse, a lie, a deception. Just like over there in England when that Sewell guy was providing children for pedophilia, sex that the elites, high-ups in royalty and government could have with the children. When they started investigating that Mr. Sewell in England, London, they found out it went all the way to the top and they had to cancel the investigation, so I have read, for national security purposes. So part of Satanism is pedophilia and child sacrifice, killing them, and possibly drinking their blood and eating them. I don't want to say that, but if you go look into it, you're going to find out that is 100% correct. This is what we're dealing with in this reality. Believe it or not, as advanced as we think we are, we've got some psychopathic, insane monsters running our world. That's putting it nicely. Showed you that one bomb being exploded in Palestine. The phosphorus rain, phosphorus like molten lava being poured all over the people. Oh my God. What human being could do that to another human being? But I'm forgetting. They don't think of us as human beings if we're not one of them. We're animals with no souls, to be done away with as you would do away with rats. And it's the rats who are doing it. We're not the rats. The New World Order and global control. Unfortunately, people who have been misleadingly labeled conspiracy theorists for the last few decades as a reflex response to their warnings about the upcoming New World Order were right. Even Fox News Channel had a momentary lapse of purpose and admitted as much as the politicians and technocrats openly used the term New World Order. Even the Pope used the word New World Order. Nowadays, the term is being used so regularly, so brazenly, that one has to question the sanity of people who still refuse to believe that an unprecedented global system of control, or New World Order, has been planned for all of us. So if you don't believe, you must be the one that's a little insane. They're saying it. They're dispersing troops all across the country, Jade Home. All across Europe doing the same thing. Building more FEMA camp, guard towers at shopping centers. Delivering guillotines to these military bases and possibly FEMA camps. Buying hollow point bullets and other bullets that impact and throw shrapnel off when they hit people. They don't just want to kill. They want it to be horrific death. Sky spraying, HARP systems. If people don't believe now, maybe they're not human. Maybe they are animals. Don't have souls. I have a soul. I'm paying attention. One obvious difference is the technology available to the controllers, which is far superior today. And they're testing these flyby planes and mapping people, just like you have your GPS. They got GPSs that track everybody. Just type in the name, and the computer will spit out everything upon demand. People who would resist gun confiscation, push that button, the computer will start printing out lists city by city. probably. Didn't get your kids vaccinated with these poisonous vaccines? Push a button, the computer will spit out the names. All right, here we go. Professor Romwell of the University of Hawaii calls domicide, i.e. the killing of people by their own government. Domicide. The killing of people by their own government. Excessive government power, incidentally, despite the fact that the theory of man-made global warming or climate change, as it must now be called, has been proven to be a convenient non-truth. Word got out that there existed an agenda to create a world government out of the recent United Nations conference on climate change in Copenhagen. So the global warming, climate change is all about trying to bring about the New World Order, even according to Gregory and Timothy, who wrote this article for Nexus magazine. And by the way, you can go on the Nexus website and actually order these magazines in print for like $7 each. For many years past, you can have a whole bundle shipped to you. You and your friends will spend weeks being fascinated and then scared to death with the articles. So, Copenhagen, justified by the hysterical catastrophism surrounding and discredited theory. The recent ClimateGate scandal proved that scientists promoting the theory of man-made global warming, a worldwide confidence trick, are more than willing to forge their data, fudge their data, and even to, sometimes I misspeak, prevent genuine scientists with legitimate freedom of information request when checking the data and observing any information that might challenge the new religion. So legitimate scientists can't even get their hands on the data. We cannot accurately call it science if scientists are denied access to the scientific data. But even more revealing is the fact that international think tank, the Club of Rome, I mentioned them before, it's another fraternal organization bent on controlling the world, getting rid of the middle class, and killing off a lot of unwanted people. Club of Rome admitted in a book, The First Global Revolution, 1993, I'll have to look that up and see if I can buy it, that this gigantic global scam is its own invention. I do have one book by the Club of Rome which is about overpopulation. Propaganda again. In searching for a new enemy to unite us, we suggested that pollution, the threat of global warming, water shortages, famine, and the like would fit the bill. And it's also in that book, a report from Iron Mountain, you can find online, that the elites from the United States, a bunch of them were gathered together to write a book on how to control the people if peace broke out. How would you have to have some other fear for them instead of the traditional war? Report from Iron Mountain. And this one here is The First Global Revolution by the Club of Rome. I-beam. One company commands more than a passing mention in any discussion of technology as a means to control people, and infinitely worse, namely International Business Machines Corporation, IBM. IBM used the punch card system in Germany so that they could control and know all the information about the Jewish people. IBM. Individuals could be associated with cross-tabulation information, like I said, about their background, profession, religion, membership of organizations, etc. Basically anything for which data could be collected. Information could be stored in the holes that were punched into rows and columns by an IBM punch card system. So IBM had a big hand in that in Germany in World War II. IBM technology was used to organize nearly everything in Nazi Germany and then Europe. And today the technology is infinitely more sinister in its capabilities, in my opinion. And you'll see in this author's opinion too. Today, IBM is closely associated with the implantable microchip company Verichip Corporation, and now calling itself Positive ID. You see how they put a spin on it? Instead of calling it Verichip, they're going to call it Positive ID. And everybody's going to go, all the zombies out there in America land, hey, let's get a positive ID. We won't need a credit card when we go shopping. Anyways, not content with playing Big Brother to the con artist, formerly known as Verichip, by writing off a loan of US $60 million, IBM is also intent on playing Big Brother to the rest of us by promoting its dream of a global smart system of total and constant surveillance of everything. So there won't be a smartphone or a smart refrigerator or a smart car. There's going to be a smart human. And you think they can't control you or turn you off, render you unconscious, make you do things you wouldn't normally do, think things you wouldn't normally think. In reality, what little remains of our freedom is under attack here. Moving on. Reality television program Big Brother were called on to promote the introduction in March 2004 of the VIP Verichip at Barcelona's Baja Beach Club. The idea is once you have a microchip planted in your arm, you can access the VIP area and never again will you be dragged down to the level of having to deal with the monstrous inconvenience of carrying around money or a credit card. It's all a trick, satanic trick. It's in the Bible. You get marked with the mark of the beast, 666, on your hand or on your forehead. Your soul is lost. When I say lost, I'm saying apparently when we die, we go somewhere. A lot of people have seances and communicated with entities on the other side, out-of-body experiences, returned after dying, even children. There's plenty of books and materials on the subject. We've gone over it, remote viewing. So my point is apparently when you do die, not everybody goes to the same place. And the people who believe that Jesus came and died and all that, and God, and try to be good people, go to one place. But apparently, if you get this chip, as according to the Bible, you take the chip, you go to a different place. And like that picture we looked at in a video or two ago, that one guy had a big poster, the drag queen guy, whatever, that had a big poster that says, "I bet hell is fabulous." And it just makes one wonder, how demented can people be to even think, if they believed in hell, that it would be fabulous? And I want to worry about Iran with that kind of thinking. All they got to do is put it on the nightly news and say, Iran's citizens are all demons. And then the American people, much of these people who think hell is fabulous, would go along with nuking Iran. Beginning to really worry about planet Earth and humanity. Alright, Managing Director Joe Van Galen said he believes that in 20 years' time, it will be normal to be chipped at birth. Oh my God. The vision of the architects of the New World Order doesn't involve leaving us alone to get on with our lives. It's about dictating to us what is no longer permissible, and how we will be allowed to live our lives, and eventually whether we will be allowed to live our lives at all. The right to walk around without a microchip implant seems pretty safe right now. What did I say the date on this magazine? November 2010. But would that still be the case if people without implants somehow came to be in the minority? and it's happening, or if the infrastructure of the entire planet ever came to be based on the assumption that people do have microchip implants. So if they want to create a reality where you can't buy or sell anything without the microchip, everybody's going to believe you have one. And people who don't have one are going to be in trouble, which is said in the Bible. Indeed, there seems to be the direction in which Kevin Haggerty, writing for the Toronto Sun, 10 September 2006, sees the system moving. Haggerty explained how he believes that microchipping agenda will unfold, predicting a number of interesting scenarios. Having a chip will be a precondition for engaging in the main dynamics of modern life, such as shopping, voting, and driving. It would be prudent to introduce preventive legislation worldwide to avoid ever being obliged to accept a microplant chip. All right, how much more we got to go here? This is pretty crazy stuff. So Mr. Scott Silverman said, well, you know what's interesting? I used to get that question a lot 2 years ago. Today we've gotten a lot less. In fact, Attorney General of Mexico and some of his staff have received this chip for security purposes. It won't be tomorrow, and it won't be next week. Silverman. Scott Silverman says that. And Sarah Silverstein, I think it is, the comedian, as I see the YouTube videos, was up there, Jewish lady, saying that if Jesus were to come back today, she goes, yeah, we killed Jesus. If he come back today, I'd kill him again. That's what she said right on stage, just like that. This is what we're dealing with. It won't be tomorrow, it won't be next week. But 2, 3, 5 years from now, slowly but surely, it'll work its way into mainstream. So that's how they do it, slowly but surely. Continuing on here. In this fine-tuned performance, Silverman is talking about gradualization. He is revealing a strategy of long-term thinking based on achieving the gradual normalization of what at first appears correctly to be diabolical attempt to reduce each and every human being to a component in a massive human inventory. Think about that. Moving on, and I'm not reading everything. So you can probably look up this article on Nexus Magazine, or I don't know if they have online magazines. I think so. The bad news is that the process of slowly but surely working its way into the mainstream took a big step recently, as the implantable chips were marketed as a one-size-fits-all solution to the hypothetical problem involving some sort of inability to access medical and medical information via the implant. The company development partner Receptors LLC, which manufactures a virus triage detection system for the H1N1 virus, connects the company to the World Health Organization recent flu pandemic performance and potentially to similar incidents in the future. The company formed Verigreen Energy Corporation to invest in clean and alternate energy sector. Recently, the signed stimulus package, which invested $79 billion in renewable energy. The company has created a synergy between their new marketing company Gibraltar and the stimulus bill cap and trade, the global warming agenda, and the human implantable microchip. So all these things are going on that are diabolical, are all connected, as I keep saying. And as I keep finding in documents, other people agreeing. So, sky spraying, HARP systems, Verichip, microchipping people, Ebola, Australian antigen, N1H1 AIDS, mercury in vaccines causing autism in children. They say that 1 in 3 people now are already microchipped, and many of them don't even know it. 1 in 3. Look it up on the internet. Agenda 21, big United Nations meeting next month, September in New York, 2015. Depopulation is one of their highest priorities. The gay agenda, 2% of the people on the planet are gay? And they're trying to force the other 98% to go into to approve of everything. And if you don't, you could be an anti-government belligerent, an insurgent, a terrorist, if you don't give up your guns. It's all planned. Company corporation, Elcan, Raytheon Microelectronics Española, the 5th largest defense contractor, government contractor, and manufacturer of Verichip positive ID chip. And of course, Verichip positive ID chip includes the VeriPay system, which is designed to be used as a swipe and go payment method for cash and credit card transactions. So we can see that the company has its fingers in a lot of pies, and various different branches all seem to be converging, leading in one direction, offering microchip implants as the solutions to life's problems. Problems that they create, so you'll take the solution. Nevertheless, in December, my mouth gets dry, I start talking weirdly. 2009, CEO Scott Silverman assured the public using the chip to relate to the credit reporting services of nationalcreditreport.com, and even using it for financial transactions, has not been a part of our business model for 5 years or more, and never will be the intent of this company as long as I am chairman and CEO. Is he planning on stepping down? However, in 2004, Silverman told the Broward Palm Beach News-Times that the Verichip could be used as a credit card in the near future. In 2006, he appeared on Fox and Friends, promoting the chipping of immigrant guest workers to track them and monitor their tax records. Given the discrepancies with Silverman's more recent assurances, whether we hear such denials from this man or from any other spokesman for this company, we know that we can never be sure when we are being told the truth. I think that goes for any of these leaders these days. I mean, look at Donald Trump running for president. How many people, if it's true, I may not watch the video, I need to do some homework and verify this, so maybe somebody could check it out and leave a note in my comment section, contribute to my research. But did in fact Donald Trump's son marry a Jewish girl, and is he converting to Judaism? And did in fact Donald Trump's daughter marry a Jewish real estate mongrel from New Jersey, and they're converting to Judaism? And I know Donald Trump, I heard him say, watching a video, that he thinks Benjamin Netanyahu is the best leader in the world. Just saying, I bet he didn't voluntarily tell that to people. We really want Israel ruling America, which we already know it does, and look how well things are going. Not going well at all, are they? They're not planned to go well. You can't solve a problem if you don't have a problem. So you have to create a problem to solve the problem and turn the world into a communist, slaved nation. Moving on, Captain Cyborg. Meanwhile, on the other side of the pond lives Professor Kevin Warwick of the University of Reading in England. Warwick often appears on TV promoting himself and his beloved microchip implants, promoting the idea of a world inhabited by cyborgs. So what if this microchip just could literally take over your body? You know, your brain's signals are kind of very weak anyways. And what if this microchip had stronger transmission of signals and could dominate your thinking? Could you control it? I mean, would you know it? Longing to be perceived as a courageous pioneer in biblical importance, Warwick seems dangerously keen on using his own work with microchip implants as a stepping stone to a national and an international chipping program. But such problems tend to disappear for those people whose work is in perfect alignment with pre-existing agendas of the powers that be. Warwick went on to appear on Channel 4 documentary in the UK in April 2008, openly encouraging a frightened young mother to chip her children. So if you're going along with this evil agenda, you can move right up the ranks in politics and other government jobs and corporations. FYI. So if you're willing to be evil, there's lots of opportunity. And I think at the end of the day, when you leave this planet, you're going to be in trouble. Just my opinion. It was also noticeable that Professor Warwick chose not to share with the little girl's mother the fact that microchip implants have been linked to tumors in research animals. So putting that chip in you can cause tumors. The public are told what they want. As we have already seen, there is a disturbing move towards chipping the population. Aaron Russo, in which he discusses his friendship he once had with Nicholas Rockefeller of the banking dynasty. Among several astonishing revelations is the admission by Rockefeller, according to Russo, that the ultimate goal is to get everybody in the world chipped with an RFID chip and have all money beyond those chips and everything on those chips. If anybody wants to protest what we do or violate what we want, we just turn off the chip. Maybe they could just turn off the human. So that's where they want to take us. The question is, do they intend to take us there? The answer is simple. How are they going to get us there? Propaganda. Alright, heads up on this one. The American Tobacco Corporation turned the existing social norms of the 1920s upside down by tempting women to believe that smoking cigarettes was a sign of their independence and their move away from being perceived as a second-class citizen. In his 1928 book entitled Propaganda, Barnes wrote, "The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in the democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country." Moving on, who understand the mental processes and social patterns of the masses? It is they who pull the wires which can control the public mind, who harness the old social forces and contrive new ways to blind and guide the world. This is about persuading the public to accept the idea of sticking a microchip inside their bodies indefinitely and ideally from the perspective of the propagandists, their masters. The public will be made to want to be chipped. So they're going to make it cool to be chipped. I'm hip and cool, I'm chipped. I'm speechless, because I know people will probably fall for it. Minds would have to be prepared for that, well in advance. Predictive programming. And again, I'm not reading everything. Highlighted some stuff, so it seems like I'm jumping around. I am. So I don't have the time to read it all. Predictive programming, but basically a fictional story set in the future. So what they do is they tell you something about the future, so the society, people will be ready for it. So when it happens, they'll just jump in. They'll believe it. They'll accept it. Predictive programming. So that in real life, when these events are close to transpiring, it all seems familiar to the programmed audience. There is a feeling of inevitability that would not have existed had it not been for the predictive programming. So Planet X is coming. Yellowstone might explode. Global warming, climate change, Ebola, Jade Helm, World War III, the dollar crashing, stock market crashing, all the stuff you see in the news. Disarming America. Gay agenda. All predictive programming. And people are buying it and believing it and going with it. And they don't have a good intention with the stuff they're doing. I think people will agree to that. The people that control our world are not looking out for us. Look at that song I hear on the radio, Waiting for the World to Change. You think that was just somebody's creation? No, it's predictive programming. So everybody's riding around singing, waiting on the world to change, waiting on the world to change. And particularly the black culture. So they'll be ready to act when they're told to act. Maybe create riots across the nations, which they seem to be able to do in cities. Waiting on the world to change. I don't mind the world changing and good things happening, but I suspect, like we saw in Texe Marrs' material and a lot of the other Zionist, Jewish, Masonic, Jesuit, satanic propaganda, they really do think of the rest of us non-Jews and non-fraternal organizations as lowly type animal beings. And they want to enslave us and get rid of the middle class, take away property rights. How can an animal own a house or a car or money or a bank account? You can't. So they want to reduce the people not in their groups to the animal status. Communism, get it? Commune, cattle in a corral, fenced in area, chipped so they don't have to put barbed wire up. You leave the area, the alarm will go off. Think about it. Tied to this little city for your whole life. You try to leave the perimeter without permission. The computer will alert the officials. This can't be good, I keep saying. So that in real life, when these events are close to transpiring, it all seems familiar to the programmed audience. There is a feeling of inevitability that would not have existed had it not been for the predictive programming. The victim feels less inclined to object because it's designed to appear as though it's all unfolding naturally, uncoordinated and unscripted. This manipulation of the mind is carried out by the best perception builders that money can buy. They're using our tax dollars to enslave us. As Alan Watt of as Alan Watt of cuttingthroughthematrix.com explains, we are effectively being farmed. Cattle, they think we're cattle. They harrow it, they plow it, they do all the necessary groundwork. And then they sow the seed and watch it grow and cultivate it. They even make a show called The Zombies. Well, that's what they do with your mind in preparation for every major event that will happen in your life. And you don't think any more beyond that. People don't. They don't contemplate. They don't read. They don't investigate. They don't see that somebody's controlling them. But it'll get worse. And once it does, there'll be no way out. The gates will be stronger. The technologies, the enforcers, the ability to capture, harm, or kill will be greater. Where did the idea come from in the first place? It's marketed to you through entertainment. And that's the prime reason for entertainment. That's why I don't have cable TV. This technique of predictive programming can be used to condition us to accept the idea of microchip implants as inevitable, even desirable, and it has been going on for decades. The opening scene of Logan's Run, the movie, 1976, shows a newborn baby with a crystal implant in the palm of his hand. In Fortress, 1992, each prisoner has an intestinator implanted, a device designed to inflict severe pain or death for any violation of the prison rules. So the planet will be a prison, and if you're chipped, they can inflict pain or death. You don't think the chips can do that. You don't think they would do that. Well, they are doing it. California recently just mandated everybody gets vaccinated. You have something stuck in your body which you don't know what it is, and they don't want you to know. Wonder if they're secretly putting chips in people when they say they're vaccinating them. How would you know? An article from May 2009 carrying the headline, Saudi Killer Chip Implant Would Eliminate Undesirables. Would I be considered an undesirable? You? Your daughter, your son, your cousin, your brother, your sister, your mother, your father? Would somebody you know be considered an undesirable? In Demolition Man, 1993, San Angeles 2032 is a highly ordered society in which everything that has been categorized as bad for you, salt, smoking cigarettes, has become illegal. Even every citizen has a microchip implant. In the BBC drama The Last Enemy, 2008, the British Home Secretary reveals her own microchip implant. In the opening scene of Conspiracy Theory, 1997, taxi driver Jerry Fletcher, Mel Gibson, talks to his passengers about the various conspiracies and happens to include a mention of George H.W. Bush's famous New World Order speech. At one point, he is talking to a lady with a dog about the chipping of pets for identification and tracking purposes. He goes on to make a point. He says, I mean, it's only a small logical step till they start putting it in us and our children. Last page. I just thought it was worthwhile to really take a long, hard look at this. In the movie, Fletcher is made out to be a kook in a number of ways, despite the fact that he is actually a victim of a very real CIA mind control program called MKUltra. A lot of Hollywood stars are under these mind control programs, like Miley Cyrus. They use all this psychology and trauma treatments. Alright, I think I'll finish up this video with this last page here. And let's see what it says. A list of examples of mind farming are given above is not exhausted. It doesn't include the various TV news items, for example, which are essentially advertisements disguised as debate on behalf of the viewer and the consumer. We can expect more of the same from an increasing number of sources as the invisible government attempts to persuade us first that being chipped is desirable and then normal. This would also increasingly imply that not to be chipped is to be abnormal, which can be unbearable for some people. The more that people agree to be chipped, the more likely it is that the economic and technological infrastructure of the world will eventually operate on the assumption that the citizens are chipped. So you won't be able to operate if you're not chipped. The obvious next step is simply a gradual increase in the number of places that accept this method of payment. And then we are potentially moving towards the troubling situation of only having the option of using an implanted chip to pay for goods and services. Probably to join a club, go to school, university, get on an airplane, take a bus, a train, drive a car. No chip, you can't do anything. And I believe in the Bible it does say, when the people get marked with the beast, and they do have a computer, a gigantic one, that's monitoring everything, called the beast. And it says if you get chipped with the mark of the beast, you won't be able to buy or sell, in the Bible. So it's no coincidence, in my opinion, that all that stuff that Texe Marrs talks about, H.G. Wells, the New World Order, Henry McCall, Rabbi Marvin Antleman, all the stuff I've been going and over all the books I've been doing. Power to the people. We have all managed to land in a critical period in history, and our actions will affect the outcome. But to pull off this agenda, they need us to go along. The successful implementation of the human microchip agenda, like every other aspect of our increasingly apparent enslavement, necessitates the acquiescence of the majority. And legally speaking, silence connotes consent. So if you don't speak out, you're condoning what they're doing. There is a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart, that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. You've got to put your bodies upon the gears, and upon the wheels, upon the levers, and upon the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. You've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all. And it has some stuff here about the authors. Gregory Nicolaitis is the founder of We the People Will Not Be Chipped organization, having worked at a Fortune 500 companies including Apple and Xerox. Timothy Wiseman completed a degree in psychology. At the time he began researching various agendas of the so-called New World Order. Here's a little bit you can pause and write down their information. Links to their websites. So there you have it. Texe Marrs' book, Majesty. Some of his periodicals, newsletters. And a little about the human microchip agenda in Nexus magazines. And I went through my Nexus magazines. I've got 6 or 7 years worth. And pretty much every magazine, which comes out every 2 months, has one article or two about the New World Order. So I will continue to look at those, like in these Texe Marrs book review, and other things by Texe Marrs, and more of these Nexus magazines. And maybe we'll all learn something, share it with others, and maybe we could stop this runaway train of a new world order and a new age. Thank you for watching my video. Got any additional information? Put it in the comment section. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see my videos when they come out. Rick Miracle reporting.